Hi everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Tax Tips channel. My name is Cherry Chen, a chartered professional accountant located in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. And I'm on a mission to become the Google map for hardworking Canadians seeking financial freedom. And today I have very honored to be able to invite Anne Gillespie, very well respected and probably the most, to me, she's my idol, being able to do so much and also coach so many business owners to business success. And on top of that, she does all these crazy things, like helping other people, starting Girl Abundance, specifically helping women entrepreneurs. And those are not the wow stuff that she's done. The most amazing things that she's done is the Ironman stuff. Triathlon, and I don't know how you find time to do all these on top of having a crazy coaching business. So without further ado, welcome, Anne.
Hey, nice to have me here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm excited. Let's inspire some people.
Oh, absolutely. So let's start with some motivational stuff. I call it motivation. Is not really motivation. No stuff. It's more like, hey, what have you done recently? What have you won recently?
So what have I done recently? Well, the most recent thing is like about 4.5 years ago, I took up triathlons. I didn't swim, I didn't bike or anything like that. So I was about like, I was a good, I would say maybe like 300 pounds. So I lost half my body weight. And I decided that I was like, I'm going to start training for Ironmans. Yeah, I was like pretty big. And so anyway, so I was like, let's do this. And I didn't swim and I didn't bike. So I was kind of like, and I could run. I mean, if you can't run, like, I mean, not very well, but I could run. So anyway, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to become an Ironman athlete. I was like, I'm going to do an Ironman. And so then I started training and I started saying, wow, like this is like really hard. Like you're doing 3 sports. I'm terrible at all 3. And then I just love growth. So I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, and you compete against yourself, but then you really compete against others. And then I just started working really hard at it. And I became really just committed to the process. And I said, you know what? I just loved it. So anyway, so long story short, I went in about 2.5 weeks ago. I went down to Victoria, British Columbia. It's one of the hardest races that they have. And with Ironman 70.3, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm like, it's like a over 4,000 foot climb on your bike. And then it's a trail run and you swim and everything. And I was like, I'm going to just do this. It was a world qualifier. So they had 20 spots to give out of 2,000 competitors. And I ended up getting a spot to the Worlds in Finland. So I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I said yes to the dress. And I basically was like, let's do this. So I'm going to Finland in August to compete with the best in the world. And, and I was like 4 years ago, I didn't know how to ride a bike or swim. And now to get to the world, it's like, I don't know. I just really wanted to show everybody that I coach, that you can do anything you want to do. If you work hard, anything is possible.
Hey, I don't even know how to respond to it. Like, should I say congratulations? And I so much respect to what you do. Can you just walk us through just tiny little bit? I know you said cut the story short, but I really needed the nitty gritty. So how much do you train on a weekly basis and what do you eat?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I train about 16 hours a week. So it's really, we usually do about 2 exercises a day. And then some like stretching and stuff like that. So I get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and usually by like 4:30, 4:45, I'm rolling and into whatever. So like I'll be in the pool, let's say sometimes at, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm in the pool at 5 o'clock in the morning. Done swimming back, my first client is 7 a.m. So I'm rolling with my clients at 7 a.m. And then usually like if my day's done at 4:30, I'm heading out doing a run or a bike, one or the other. And so that's another hour and a half of working out, and then some good stretching and stuff like that. On the weekends is when you'll see so that's about like 10 hours right there. And then on the weekends, you do absolutely a minimum of 3 hours on Saturday. So a really long bike ride. So on Saturday, I did 3 hours outside and I did like really hard stuff. And then on Sunday, I did swimming plus running. So 2 hours of running, 1 hour swimming. So, and as far as, so it takes a lot of commitment because you don't want to do that. Like, and you're never like, yay, I think I'm going to work out 16 hours this week. It gets tougher. The closer you get to the race, the tougher it is. And you have to do it like when it's dark in the winter and everybody's sleeping. It's like you have to get up and you have to be like, and when you're done your exercise in the winter, it's still dark. And then when you go through your whole day, you have to exercise when it's dark. So it's mentally really hard. And then what do I eat? I'm a sponsored nutrition athlete, so I'm very clean on what I eat. But I would say, to be very honest with you, I use HelloFresh now. And so, yeah, so what I do is I love HelloFresh because it doesn't let me waste food, but I can pick really good meals and then it gets delivered every Thursday. So I just do all my meal prep and then I'm like, boom. And then I have my meals for the entire, week, really pretty much in my fridge, ready to go. So I do all my meal prep once a week and I'm very careful. Everything that I eat, I try to go as low on preservatives as I possibly can.
Yeah, again, I don't know how you last from like 4 a.m. in the morning. What time do you sleep?
Usually I'm in bed around 10:30.
That doesn't leave a lot of rest time.
It doesn't, but I wear what's called an Aura. So it's OURA, Aura ring. And so it's a computer that goes on your finger. I don't have it on right now. It's charging, but it's a computer that goes on your finger. And what it monitors is it monitors the best time for you to go to sleep. It monitors your heart rate during your sleep. It tells you if your temperature was off. It tells you your oxygen levels. It monitors your workouts. And then what you do is you learn, believe it or not, a 15-minute nap, which I sometimes can do like around, if I'm tired, I'll take a 15-minute nap after work and then I'll get into my workout. But a 15-minute nap can put your body into like, it can literally give you about a 20% or so boost. So I don't really get too worried about getting 6 hours of sleep at night. I'm like, I'll just take a 15-minute nap and I know the benefits are huge.
Okay, maybe I should get that ring as well because
it's really
that's
cool.
going to help. Yeah. Well, okay. So now like literally it's an Ironman training, not just the Ironman race itself is daunting, but it's the training leading up to it is also very daunting. I still remember you were telling Erwin and I how you were swimming in the middle of the cold, like minus 20 degrees. You still go out and do your own like swimming. And I don't know how you do it, but tell us how this is compared to coaching business and tell us how. Because I just came back from an entrepreneur conference and there's lots of ups and downs that entrepreneurs shares. And I just wonder, because you're a well-renowned business coach as well. So tell us how this training for Ironman or the running of Ironman has the similarities between this versus running your own business.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think that it's like what I really realized the most is that what I tell my clients all the time is when I was qualifying just recently for Worlds, I lost my nutrition, for example. I lost my nutrition 30 minutes into the bike ride, which means that all I had to do a whole race was oatmeal in the morning. So it was not good. But what kept going through my head is that, when you want something bad enough, it's never the race, it's the journey that gets you to the finish line. And it's the journey that makes you mentally tough, and if you do the right training, your mental capacity has to go to the next level in order for you to get to where you want to get to. And quite often, if you look at entrepreneurs, one of the most biggest reasons why you see some entrepreneurs succeed and others don't succeed is nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with that. There are plenty of massively talented entrepreneurs that never make it to the top. And the reason why is because they mentally don't have the capability of getting through the toughest times. They haven't gone through them and pushed through them. And in order for them to get there. So when I lost my nutrition in the race in Victoria, everybody couldn't believe it. They're like, you still qualified. And I said, because mentally in training, I've been through worse. I've been through pushing through at 4 o'clock in the morning when I didn't want to. I've been through when the pools were closed. I went through, my coaching client lives in my city and she's like, I have a pool. It's freezing. It's the winter. I will open it up for you if you want to use it. I was like, I'll take it. Like whatever I could do was like, I will do anything because I know there's nothing harder than, I had 2 neoprene wetsuits on. I had heart rate monitors. I would get into that cold water and you can only go 10 minutes at a time, or you could get sick. So I jump in for 10 minutes. Well, that is 10 times freaking harder than anything else that I'm doing. And I'm like, it was really difficult to do. And so I would push myself and push myself and push myself. And, you're not going to die. You're just pushing your mental capability to another level. You're going, okay, this is what I've been handed. It's a wall. How do I get through the wall? What do I have to do to climb it, get through it, break it down? What do I have to do? Nothing is impossible. I just have to figure out a way to do it. And like, I couldn't really compete at a high level being 300 pounds. So I had to lose weight. How do I do it? I hired 5 coaches to help me with it. Okay, no problem. How do I learn I never had a bike before. Okay, I bought a bike and then I learned how to use it. How? I studied YouTube video. I fell off my bike. I got in a bike accident. It was the journey to the finish line is never easy in Ironman races, nor is it easy in entrepreneur world. So you have to almost look, it's almost impossible, I say, for people in business, when you're interviewing them and they've succeeded at a high level, there's very rarely will I ever hear somebody say, it was easy. Nothing happened that was bad. And I was like, no, it doesn't. There's great loss, great challenge, and it's all a mental game. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you have. It's how can you push through it? And the more you push through it as you're in the journey, it's when you get to the destination that you're like, okay, I'm here. And everybody goes, well, how did you do it? Well, it's not how I did it. It's what did you overcome? And I overcame the darkest days and I pushed through it because you have to always be committed to the goal. And you have to be committed no matter what. And commitment is a word that I think is thrown around quite a bit in life. And, as a businesswoman myself, it's like, are you committed? And I think it was David Goggins that actually said it, like you're in or you're out. Like there is no in between. Like, so either you're in or you're out. There is no, if you do, I ask this question all the time, Cherry, and it's kind of interesting. If you, what is the difference between 99% and 100%? What is the difference? What would you say? It's a trick question. So what would you say?
Judging from what our conversation has been, I would say commitment.
Failure.
Oh.
It's complete. You didn't finish. Like if a marathon is 26.2 miles, which it is, and you do 26 and you didn't finish the 0.2, did you finish it?
No.
You didn't. So the difference between 99 and 100% is 100%. Okay, it's a 100% difference between 99 and 100 is 100%. So it is commitment. 100% commitment means you don't stop until you reach that destination. And it may take you 8 hours to get that last 0.2, but you don't stop. You finish it. But if you stop at 26, you are 100% not finishing that marathon. Like you're done. That's it. You don't get a do-over on it. You don't get to say you finished the marathon. You gave up at 26, or you may have had a cramp, but it doesn't matter. You can still finish it. You can work through it. You can be slower. You can crawl. You can do whatever it takes to get to that finish line. But the commitment, the difference between 99 and 100 is always 100%. So you have to carry that mentality in an Ironman race, and you carry that mentality in business, is that it is going to be hard. That's what it's all about. So how committed are you will determine if you get there or don't get there.
Wow. Okay, that's some mindset, deep stuff that we just shared. That's amazing. Now, coming back to the practical stuff.
Yes.
You've coached so many businesses owner, and they often have average 7-figure net income. And what do you see as their secret to success?
I think the secret to success is they believe in a vision that's bigger than other people can believe in. And they're just committed to that belief system. And they don't have a fear of trying things and failing. They're totally fearless of failure. And so they take their big picture thinking, they listen to that voice, and they know, they're like, the probability of failure is high, but they failed so many times. And I feel like all those 7-figure individuals that I coach, most of them didn't start at 7 figures when I start with them. What they've learned is that they've learned that failure is part of business, failure is part of life, and it's not a stopgap, but they get addicted to failure. And I think they keep thinking to themselves, the bigger I go, the more I'm going to fail. And okay, and that means I'm making progress. And when you can see failure as progress, it takes everything out of the equation. You know, it's like, okay, then how excited are you to fail? It's like, yeah, it's going to be painful and maybe it's going to be expensive. But if you don't fail at something, you're never going to make it better and you're never going to learn from it and you're never going to try new things and you're never going to get better. So, I mean, like, sure, the first time you ever want to send a like, look at Elon Musk, actually, look at that. You know what? He had the glass on the vehicle that was supposed to be shatterproof and in front of the entire world went and hit it and it smashed. Oh, that was a big failure. I mean, you can't get bigger than that. Well, you know what? What happened? Nothing. You know what? He just moved on from it. He didn't even lose a minute of anything. And he just laughed about it. You know, you're going to have failure. And if you're okay with failure, and that was a really good example of somebody who's failed so many times that he almost expects stuff like that to happen. And you just got to go, okay, that's big thinking. Big thinking means that you're comfortable with failure. And when you're comfortable with failure and you can see it for something, it almost becomes addictive, and that will allow you to keep getting to the next level. And every level is going to take you closer to 7 figures.
Cool. Now, then specifically with the market not doing so well, like with talking to so many different entrepreneurs, some people had like a budget of this high, and then now it comes in at this low, and it's not just unique to real estate investors or real estate agents. I mean, the real estate market, it had been the hardest hit, but it also affects the tech market as well, the tech industry, and anything associated with tech that has the snowball effect. Even our cousin, he was recently also let go from the employer because he's also part of tech. So what are you suggesting your clients to do at this difficult challenge that they are facing right now? Or what are your opinion on it? Are we just at the top of the iceberg, at the tip of the iceberg, or is it going to snowball bigger? Or so how do you coach your clients to prepare for the upcoming storm?
I think okay, so I don't know. I think that's such a great question. I think what you're seeing right now is that it's the market of skills, but it's also the market of consumers. And I think the biggest thing that we're coaching our clients on right now is to say, you know, make sure that you understand that there's a time, like either you're ready to go to the next level, like this is not going away anytime soon. And most of the stuff that's happening is completely out of our control. So you have to kind of look and say, where do I want to be? What skills do I have right now? And how can I execute them the best way possible? So if, for example, if I'm in real estate and I'm working with realtors right now, I'm going to make sure that the realtors understand what is the opportunity that's hidden here. Well, in the United States, 30,000 realtors just resigned. Okay. So they 30,000. So 30,000 realtors left the business. In Canada, that number is going to be high as well. And it's like, so if you're a licensed realtor in either the United States or Canada, the opportunity is to elevate your skill level higher, learn to connect with consumers, bring your business to the next level, and become more service oriented, which is the trend of real estate. So follow where the trend is in your certain industry and what you love to do. But equally as well is that don't not have a plan. You need to be held accountable. This is probably the number one time I would say in the coaching industry that if you don't have a coach or somebody holding you accountable at a high level that's willing to fire you if you don't hit your targets, stand that strong for your business. I think that's what I'm seeing the most right now is I don't think that there is a big mirage of coaching coaches, I guess you could say, out there. So finding the right one, but also finding one that can say, I'm going to hold you massively accountable. And if you don't hit these targets, I'm not keeping you around because this is not the market and this is not the industries anymore that you can just kind of like coast through. This is skill leveled life that we're going into. There's technology changes. There's ChatGPT replacing. Learn to take your skills and go to the next level. But it's also relationships. If you're losing your job, and let's say you're in the tech industry, you know what? It's time for you to maybe take your skills, where can those skills be transferred to? So if you're in real estate, for example, and you're like, I got to get out of real estate, or actually if you're in tech and you've always been in tech and you're like, okay, what skills do you have there? And what industry needs you the most? What industry could take your skills, need it the most, put a plan together, have somebody hold you accountable, pour into it, because everything is transferable. Somebody from Disney, for example, might be like, what do I got to offer anybody? I just got laid off. I don't know. Disney has the best leadership training, the best customer service training, and you can actually work within an environment that is all service oriented. So take that and bring it in and take your Disney experience and create a program or something and bring it into the, let's say, the restaurant industry. Start developing a customer service level that make it a Disney experience. There's anything that you can do is, all skills are very transferable, but you need to sit down with somebody, look at where you can bring that and say, you know what, and go there and find your happiness, and don't do things that you're not happy with anymore. Most people don't even love what they do every day.
That is sad. That is very sad. So like with your intimate knowledge with all these business owners, what do you see as I guess you kind of answered this question, but what do you see as the biggest opportunity in the market?
I think the biggest opportunity in the market right now is to become we entered into the third phase of the financial cycle. So we're in the contraction period, as you probably know. And so we're in that third of 4 phases right now. The contraction period is really about more people spending less on luxury and more people spending more on services. So I think some of the biggest services right now, I would say the biggest opportunity is financial planning. I would say financial planning, succession planning. A lot of people are in their 50s and they're going, okay, the economy is really weird. What does my future look like? How does my succession plan look like? Should I be getting another job? Should I be looking at retiring? Investment opportunities. What am I doing financially with my portfolios? What am I doing career-wise? Everybody is looking at their finances in the contraction period. Everybody looks at their finances. So I think the biggest opportunity for all business owners right now is to look and see and say, okay, if I'm providing a service, is that service financially making my client's life better, easier, whatever. And I think the opportunity to really sit down and have deep conversations about finances are very important. Whether you're in real estate, so if you're a realtor, you should be sitting down saying, I can do an investment analysis with all your properties and then have them looked at. Should I sell? Should I keep? Should I move it? If you're in the financial industry, sitting down going, okay, everybody should meet with financial planners. Let's look at your 10-year succession period based on what just happened. If you're a business owner selling products, services, and goods, what are you doing? So for example, if I'm selling something random, like a pool, the hot tubs, if I'm selling hot tubs, that's a luxury item. Okay, so maybe you start pivoting and start taking your hot tubs and going, okay, can I combine a hot tub, approach insurance companies, get a reimbursement somehow and say, okay, from a medical standpoint, can we get a reimbursement and see if we can start pushing hot tubs to individuals who will benefit from them from a medical service. Since luxury is no longer happening, you may need to do that. So, different things like Porsches, the Porsche dealership for 2 years, they were like, we have no cars. Everybody bought Porsches. And so they called me the other day. Are you still looking for a Porsche? I'm like, no, I'm angry. I couldn't get one when I wanted one. Now I don't want one. And so I was talking to the guy. He says he has so many people who want to bring in their leases and end them early. And I said, okay, well, it's very simple. He's like, what am I going to do? I said, what are you going to do? I said, it's very simple here, dude. I said, first of all, it's a luxury item. A Porsche is kind of a luxury item. I said, well, why don't you at least say, if somebody can't afford $1,000 a month payment, why don't you say, okay, well, would they pay $2,000 or $200 a month towards it and make the payment $800? Now you can move it. Look at how financially you can take something and move it into a service-oriented product.
That's very interesting. So, since I know you intimately, more than an average audience here, I wanted to ask you about your advice on asset allocation. What do you invest in, or do you invest in a lot? Because I see a lot of business owners out there, realtors as well. I think realtors already got their foot in the door. So generally speaking, I see a lot more realtors investing to begin with. But a lot of business owners out there, they're not investing at all. And all they do is they work hard in their business, which is, I mean, I work really hard in the business, Marianne, you work extremely hard in your business as well, but not a lot of them knows investing or increasing your net worth. They often talk about the revenue number, not often talk about the bottom line, not often talk about the net worth number. So what's your take on that? And what's your asset allocation? I'm sure you have a portfolio of investment as well.
Absolutely. And I think like for me right now, I'm looking at where the trend is. So here's where I'm thinking. And, you know, I'm moving a lot of stuff around because I used to really okay, you have to look at the rental market and where it's going right now. Okay, so you're going to see that rental inflation, and like I follow numbers like nobody's business because I came from nothing. So I don't have, you know, parents who are leaving me anything. I don't have family wealth. I have no generational wealth. Whatever I have is what I've got. That's it. So I started almost from ground zero because I was homeless. So I didn't have anything to start with. So my income and my future, my succession plan is all up to me. And so that puts a lot of pressure, but it also puts the ability for me to say, okay, I study things. Right now you're looking at the trajectory of rentals, and you're looking at rental inflation is exceeding, and it's anticipated to exceed housing inflation, especially in Ontario, especially in Canada. So when you're seeing the rental inflation go crazy right now, I'm following the trends, and the trend is pretty much you're going to see us becoming more like London and like the UK, where you're going to see families, you know, they're going to think it's okay, and it should be, by the way, where they're going to go into rentals. Okay, they're not going to go into home ownership. They're going to start to go into rentals. But the equal trend is this, is that renters are getting fed up with people like myself who own properties and we're managing them ourselves, or we're hiring a management company or whatever the case is, because we can sell at a dime. We can, like, when we're not good with our money, they're going to be homeless. They don't have a clue. So they're getting very stressed out going, you know, you can see all the fighting with the landlord tenant bureau and stuff. So that kind of wraps up where I think the trend is going to go. The trend is absolutely 100% going to be large apartment buildings owned by companies. And so there's no doubt. And they're going to go to builders for that. So they're going to be looking at builders. They're going to be looking at governments, you know, programs for that. But it's going to be more apartment buildings, so that there's absolutely no chance that a family is going to buy. Because if that apartment building, whether it's owned by a company or not, they're going to say, okay, this complex is never going to be sold for res. That's what people are going to move towards. And it's too dramatic if you're moving into places and you've got, you know, Bobby Joe who owns one investment property, and Bobby Joe's like, oh, okay, the market went up. Now I'm going to sell it for 300,000 more. And guess what? I just decided that this week. So you have 2 months to move your shit out in a really hard rental market. See ya. So, and then what you're seeing is that because of pricing, and the reason why this is going to go this way is because pricing in Canada is never going to go down. It's just not, we have a supply issue. So because of that, you're seeing all these investors who are buying those one-off properties. They're not cash flowing. So rental inflation, that's what's causing it. It's going to go through the freaking roof. And there's no issues with 450,000 immigrants every year. That's what we're seeing. So my point is for allocation moving forward is more important than where I've been, and where I'm moving forward is I'm moving forward to rental apartment buildings. So I'm actually moving into buildings because I just think it's the way to go. I think it's a safe way to go. I think it also will help keep the rental buildings going. And I could see that trend a year ago, and there's no doubt that that's where we're going 100%. So rental complexes, rental buildings, companies that are not going to be selling in 3 years to residential, they're going to keep these as rentals forever.
I've also seen some trends that people are apartment building owners in major metropolitan cities, not outside, trying to convert these apartment buildings sometimes to condos as well. I mean, I've gone through that conversation with my previous firm's partner, and because we're under this underused housing tax act filing. If it is a condo individual, you have to file. But if it is the whole apartment building that you own under one ownership, you don't have to do any filing. So that's why I've seen some people converting into, not because of the UHT, actually is bad if you have to file UHT. yeah, going back to your point, like even with apartment buildings, people are still trying to find ways to make money as well.
They're always trying to find it. And it's like, it's an up and coming, but it's like, you know, for me, for allocation wise, it's like, I understand, like, for me, it's just like right now, looking at that, I'm going, this is crazy. Multi-generational living is going to go next level. Like, so everything that I'm looking at, I'm trying to take advantage of where the markets are going. But I'm really concerned, like where I look at things and I'm going, with rental inflation going the way it is, you know, as an investor myself, I'm kind of going, you know, where do you put your money? Where do you allocate it? You know, and what areas? And like, they just came out with a study saying Toronto and Vancouver are the two cities that's it. Like, don't worry, you're never going to be able to afford out there. Like, so just walk away. And so you know what? It's like looking at where the opportunities are, looking at where the developments are, looking at where, you know, where can I get bulk amount of things, keep and hang on to them. And I think that there's going to be a lot of good opportunities, but I'm definitely going bigger now.
Wow, awesome. Good for you. Maybe I should consider, after this conversation, I should talk to Erwin and consider looking into that as well. Now, my next question really is drawn from having the conversation, being on one of your coaching calls with your clients, hundreds of clients.
Yes.
I remember we were talking about budget and forecast at the time. It was at the beginning of the year,
Yep.
and you were trying to tell your client, a lot of your clients do not even know where to start, what budget is. And I mean, it's very eye-opening because to me, typically, a coach doesn't really talk about like budget and forecast.
Nope.
And so I want to ask you how and why would you ask your clients to do any of these? And why do you think it's important?
I think it's important because when you don't have a budget, and you don't forecast that stuff. I have just been through way too many times where I've heard clients, they've just come to me and they're like, I owe $100,000 in taxes. And I'm like, how did you not, like, did you not figure that out? How did you not? Or they'll be like, I need, you know, they're underwater with leverage and they just make a random, you know, hiring decision. And they're like, oh, I'm going to hire somebody for $100,000 a year. And I'm like, but you only make 200,000. Well, you realize 50% is not a normal budget, right? Like, just take a pause. And entrepreneurs are always like, they're so busy, and entrepreneurs, for the most part, they start their companies because they're really good at whatever it is that they're doing, you know, whether it's accounting, whether it's real estate, whether it's, you know, underwater basket weaving, they're really good at that. What they stink at is the business side. Okay. So they don't know that everything should have a budget. And if you go for hiring, for example, I would never go for 12% fixed costs for hiring staff. I would keep it at 12% maximum. My comfort level, I know, is 10%. And, you know, we just went outside of 10%, and it caused me 3 days of just take it down for a second, just breathe. And I was like, this is the highest we've ever gone with fixed costs. So for everybody, I always just say budgeting can really, it gives you a roadmap, but it protects your business. It protects your company. It can also give you a good idea of where you need to go. And most importantly, it's like, if you don't have a budget, I've just seen it way too many times in business that they have no allocation of money wherever they're going. They don't reinvest into their company. And so what a lot of entrepreneurs will do is they'll make, let's say, 100,000, and you can see it all the time. I was fascinated by TikTok Live. Okay. Fascinated. And I was watching, and I was like, now this moment in time has already passed. It doesn't exist anymore, but I'm watching these people charging. They're doing paintings and they're charging $20, $100, this, that. They're making bandanas and I'm going, man, they're selling products like crazy. So anyway, so I called 3 of them and I said, can I just have an interview? I just want to talk to you guys. They're like, yeah. So they're making, oh my gosh, this one guy told me he's making paintings, and like, it was so cool what he was doing. But anyway, he said he makes close to, like, I think it was something like $2,000 a week. Wow. Okay. So he was making $88,000 a month, and then he was clearing it out. And then there's another girl, and he was just doing it. And by the way, that's only like 4 or 5 hours of work a week, and he's making 100K. And I said to him, I said, so first of all, I said, like, you're claiming it. He goes, well, you know, TikTok, you have to do all these things and the way they pay. And he's like, so technically, yeah. And I said, okay, that's crazy. I said, can I ask you a question? He says, what? I said, have you ever made this kind of money? He says, no, as a struggling artist, I've never made it. I said, well, how much are you reinvesting back into your company? And he's like, well, none. And he's like, I'm paying debt, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm like, so here's this entrepreneur making almost $100,000 doing 4 hours, 5 hours a week. Then he's saying he's too busy to figure out his finances. So I followed up with him 6 months later after all this trend has pretty much stopped. And I said, hey, I'm just curious, like whatever ended up happening. He's like, wow, they shut this down, they shut that down. And he's like, it kind of sucks because now I'm broke again.
Oh.
I'm like, had he taken that money, had a budget, reinvested 50 to 60% of it back into his marketing or his company or his services or leverage, he could have taken that business and put it somewhere else. But too many times entrepreneurs, they chase the dollar so much and they don't reinvest back into their business because they don't know what they should be reinvesting in or how much. So that's why we really force our clients to say, before we go on this journey, let's determine the budget.
That's crazy story that you share. You always share some crazy story. I mean, we're very lucky to have you today.
Thank you.
It's almost time, but I want to end today's interview. I make sure for anyone that find this whole interview inspiring. We're all very lucky to have Marianne to inspire us, but I want to end the whole thing with your favorite quote. And according to your website, this is your favorite quote, which I also love a lot.
Right in front of my face. Yep.
Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride.
What a ride. What
That's
a ride.
Amazing. That is a crazy quote, to be honest. Like, I can't, if you like this quote, give us a thumbs up. If you like our interview, also give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Thank you so much. And always remember, the most important thing about that quote is I can tell you from my own life experiences, you get one life. It can be over faster than you can imagine. So why play it safe? That's the whole point. Have a freaking blast, do crazy stuff, and, leave it all out there, because one day you're not going to be able to do it anymore. So don't regret it. Just go for it, right?
You made me feel like the decision that I made with my business is not that big.
Well, you know what? Go bigger, baby. Go bigger.
Thanks, Marianne.
You're welcome, girl.
For those of you who are interested in getting to know more or connect with Marianne, all her contact information is going to be in the show notes below. So you're welcome to connect with her via her website as well, redapplecoaching.ca.
You betcha. Reach out if you need anything. I'm always happy to answer questions.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cherry.